Good evening, everybody. My name is Ice Blue, and this is going to be a submission video for Zelda 2 Adventures of Link 100% all keys. This is the main category on the speedrun boards that bans out of bounds, it bans fairy feet, it bans ferrying through doors, and it bans any kind of major glitches. Our goal here is to collect every single key in the game and complete the game by murdering Dark Link and waking Zelda up. Without further ado, we're going to get this party started in 3, 2, 1, go. So right out the gate here, we're going to start by going south of the Northern Palace here, and we're going to go pick up a magic container in the cave. We do want to kind of focus here and get this cave done properly in order to maintain our RNG table for our encounters. So we want to try and get a 50 bag here. If we don't get it, it's fine. We do. Alright, so ideally that's what we would like to see in any kind of a PB attempt. That's going to set us up for a walk here straight to the cave that leads to Palace 1. But our first detour here, we're going to go and collect a heart container on the coast. We're going to be looking for a specific encounter here. In order to set up an encounter called Bubble Skip. So we have an early louder there. Typically we know how these encounters are going to go just by seeing how things are. So we're going to be able to get a back spawn here that's going to follow us straight to this encounter. And we just skipped a forced encounter there. So on that tile right where we took that encounter, there is actually a forced encounter that it's got a bunch of bubbles, and you could get knocked into the lava, or into the water lava. We do take it on the way back. Typically, I don't know. There's a trick that you can set up. It's called double bubble skip. I unfortunately don't know that trick yet. I never took the time to learn it. Alright, so this is Palace 1. We need to avoid taking any kind of damage from these enemies here. They drain 10 experience each time you get hit by them. And we want to avoid that. Experience is extremely tight in this palace. We want to be able to get a 200 bag drop from a specific enemy in order to ensure that we get attack 4, leaving Palace 1. You're welcome in, everybody. Water is just second worst lava. Fair. Alright, so ideally we would like to keep beams. Mainly because beams are pretty overpowered in this game. Water is lava that you can drink. I don't think I would approve of drinking lava. But yeah, this palace is basically pure RNG with the little blue blob enemies, the bots. They don't have any kind of set patterns. They jump all over the place. And they're just very annoying. Alright, so we're going to set up a movement tech here. Basically, by not stopping in the screen, we could just kind of jump through this guy. And basically jump through him and kill him without taking damage. We get our attack 2. We see where our experience is. Our experience is in a good position. Ideally, we want to have 10 experience upon exiting that room there. That will indicate that our experience is high enough if we get the 200 bag from the enemy coming up. after we get the candle. And that's one of the reasons right there why you want to keep sword beams, to just kind of walk through that. We stab this wall here. It actually sets up a very specific pattern for these bubbles to allow us to basically just sword beam right through them. And we're going to cross this crumble bridge. This is the biggest instance of where you will see a lot of folks kind of play it a little safe and try not to take damage from those bots. Alright, we're going to pick up our first item of the game here. We are going to pick up the candle. The candle is going to light up every cave in the game, so your screen basically goes from being dark blue to orange. Because you know, that's what candles do. Turns your screen orange. Alright, and the next enemy, the next skeleton, Stalfos, that we get here is going to be a bag drop or a jar drop. We shall see. Why did I cancel instead of picking a power up? So we are in the market right now to basically get the highest attack level possible. So we skip level ups in order to get the attack levels. So we're gonna exit Palace 1 here with attack 4 because of that bag drop. We also stab these walls while descending an elevator because it pushes us forward pixels. So we're gonna take attack 3. It's gonna make the horse head fight coming up very, very nice. We're gonna do a little back movement there. That sets up the ability to jump through Chewie's whatever he's throwing, the little clubs. We don't want that bag. We want to kind of keep our attack at 3-1-1. And that's Horsehead. That's the boss of Palace 1. This game does have a lot of flashing lights. So if you are, you know, sensitive to flashing lights, I highly recommend looking away whenever we cast a spell, whenever we throw a gem, whenever we defeat a boss. There will be a lot of flashing. And then whenever you toss a gem, your experience goes up until it hits the next level up it can get. So there, we wanted to set up a very specific experience value and skip those levels, so whenever we get the gem toss, we're going to basically get another attack level. Yeah, if this does get in, yeah, my couch would be letting everybody know about the flashing lights. Alright, so we're going to force an encounter to come out here. That's going to basically give us a free walk all the way up to here. This is called Trophy Cave. If you miss the 50p bag in Magic Cave, you want to come do this first, because that's going to set you up for experience. There is a interesting tech with this game. So this is one of the very first games that actually made enemy RNG read your D-pad movement. So if you jump over an enemy and you're holding left or right on the D-pad, the enemy will read that and move with you. But if you jump and you let go of the D-pad and keep your momentum while jumping, the enemy stops in place and will just sit there while attacking. So it allows us to kind of skip certain enemies throughout the run. Alright, so we picked up that trophy for a reason. That's going to get us the first spell of the game, or the first spell of the run. The first spell of the game is supposed to be the shield spell, but we actually route that spell in later because it gives us a safer walk to Palace 3. So we're going to get the jump spell here. We're going to immediately need that in the next cave coming up, which is conveniently named Jump Cave. So you just zero the D-pad? Yes. So basically, so whenever Link jumps in this game, he keeps momentum. So like right here, I'm jumping, I don't have my finger on the D-pad. He keeps the same momentum he has as long as you jump and then let go of the D-pad. As long as you do that, you should be able to jump over specific enemies. And we're gonna actually use that coming up. For a bridge encounter. Alright, so we're gonna take life 2 here. And basically refill our health. Alright, we don't need that P bag. Our experience is absolutely fine. Alright, so this is the cave right here. This is the screen that we use jump. We need it for that cliffside right there. Alright, so we have a very specific encounter that we want to try and get here. Alright, that is actually the most ideal pattern you could possibly get with the Bagoo walk. Alright, so that's Bagoo. We're not even going to listen to him. We just talked to him. We have to initiate his text box in order to set up our next town. With Bagoo, we need to basically talk to Bagoo in order to... in order to allow the guard to let us cross the town of Saria. Alright, so this is Saria. We also called... Oh, I also call this. This is Lifetown. A lot of these towns are named after a lot of like the Zelda. Like if you've played Ocarina of Time, you'll notice that a lot of the towns you have, the town of Saria, Rudo, Darunia, you know, those names. So you'd recognize a lot of those names. I don't like remembering those names, so I typically just name them after the spell. So here we have Lifetown, Jump Town, you have Shield Town, Fire Town, Reflect Town. Alright, so that is our life spell. Hi, Bunny, welcome in. Bonnie, hi. Shieldton, Lifeville. Alright, so coming up here is going to be one of, in my opinion, the hardest segments of the entire run. Mainly because you are very underpowered. In this version of the run, you're very underpowered. You're entering with 4-1-2. And typically the game wants you to be like 5 attack, 4 life, 4 magic. In order to clear Death Mountain. But we are going to make our way over to Death Mountain, and we get introduced to one of the first evil enemies of the game. They are called Dairas. Alright, we're gonna skip that. Mainly because we want to level up magic later. Alright, we're gonna cast life here, because now we're gonna take magic. A lot of these caves are pretty difficult. Alright, this is our first hard enemy in the game. This is called a Daira. Oh, that's not good. Oh well. Well, we're going through Death Mountain at 4-1-2. That's okay. I meant to press down to take life 3. That is okay, though. It is not a terrible thing. Ideally, I would like to be 4-2-3. But this is not the end of the world. That right there is a tech that we call Double Stab. Which basically kind of abuses hitboxes and how hitboxes work. and how Link's knockback is affected by, you know, the way he hits an enemy. And it allows us to basically kind of abuse those hitboxes in order to deal double hits to these enemies. Alright. So, we know where our drops are going to be with each enemy kill, as far as the big kills. So that's why you saw me like kind of turn around and like immediately try to stab a jar. Not good RNG there. Alright, so this is Hammer Cave right here. This has introduced the lovely red Dairas, which do a lot of damage to you. They throw their axe as a projectile. I like to stab there. If you don't let that experience count up before you move through the screen, the enemy will respawn. You don't want that to happen, because once you walk out of that section, you get bopped immediately. Alright, good. We got a bag there. That's what we want. Alright, so that is the hammer. That is going to allow us to break boulders on the overworld. And it is also going to allow us to chop down trees. Why a hammer allows us to chop down trees? Couldn't tell you. But that is our Zelda logic for today. It is not a hammer axe. It's a hammer. I disagree. All right, we're gonna cast life here. We want to kind of sword beam through these. Except I'm gonna get punched in the face by that louder. Nice. I don't like my health, but it's okay. Alright, so here we're going to pick up another magic jar. We're also going to set up an audio cue for this walk coming up. And we didn't get it. That is unfortunate. Ideally, we would like that encounter to just keep walking, and it just skips us. Each encounter that you take that's extra, extra encounters on the overworld, it does lose you about 8 seconds. So we want to try to avoid as many encounters as possible. This bridge right here is going to actually be one of the screens that I was telling you about where we just jump over an enemy. This enemy coming up right here, jump, and we just stab him. And it just basically just allows us to skip. We don't want to cast life here. We need our magic for jump coming up in the next town. To access the most broken tech in the game, the down stab. Alright, so we're going to try and get a walk here. We want to take an encounter on a very specific tile coming up here, which we didn't get. That's fine. There's a backup strat for it. So what we want to do is we want to have an encounter 3 tiles out there on the grass, and then take the encounter on the road. And that's going to set up a double spawn right here, which sets us up for a free walk into this cave. This is Medicine Cave. Basically, as the name implies, it's you pick up the medicine for the next town to get your next spell. And we're just gonna kill another one. And we're gonna pick up our medicine. That is going to give us the fairy spell coming up in the next town. I'm, I had to. Alright, so we're gonna lose a little time in the next town. I don't want to take a death there. We are kind of strapped on lives throughout the run, and you don't want to take a death where you don't need to. Because we do actually use death abuses in Palace 4 to basically save us some time. Alright, so we're gonna come up here, we're gonna enter Fairy Town. We got a very generous back spawn that saves us 4 seconds. Alright, so unfortunately we have to walk past where Downstab is in order to talk to the magic restore lady of the town. And we have to get our magic restored. Because we had to use the life spell in Medicine Cave, we have to come do this, which loses about, I want to say about 7 seconds or so. But yeah, we need jump to get up there in order to access that doorway. We're gonna meet our first guard of the run. There are 2 guards in this run. One will teach you downstab, which is very broken tech, and I'll explain why that's broken when the time comes. You don't really get to see how broken the tech is until Palace 3. But we'll go over that whenever the time comes. And then you have upstab. Upstab is not really necessary. It's pretty necessary in Rando. It's not necessary in this run. But it doesn't really serve any kind of purpose. It's pretty useless, but we need it for 100%. Alright, so we're gonna come pick up our fairy spell here. And we're gonna menu right to it. We use those menus whenever the spell gets learned. It saves us a menu if we switch our spell to it. You can only cast the spell once, and then you have to kind of pause the game and reinitiate the spell in order for you to be able to cast it again. That's why you'll see us pausing a bunch to cast different spells. We're going to do a very specific walk out of this town in order to avoid an encounter. I'm not going to get the right walk there because they kind of followed me, which is very unfortunate. But we managed to get away with it, which is nice. Alright, so we're going to kind of use our downstab here, and we're going to kind of... we kind of abuse the hitboxes on how that works. So with downstab and how Link is able to move through an enemy while they're kind of in their iframes from being damaged, it allows us to use the downstab, and if you press the down button when you're in somebody's hitbox, the game doesn't know what to do. So it basically allows you to just hit the enemies as much as you want. We call that a jackhammer. And we're gonna use that quite a lot in the run. We almost had the most ideal walk. Oh yeah, also, we use the fairy spell. We use the fairy spell there on that heart container in order to skip the fanfare of Link holding up the heart container. That saves about 2.5. Alright, so this is Palace 2. This palace is where you get introduced to probably one of my least favorite rooms in the entire run. I call it the Tetris room. There's a room coming up later on before you pick up the item of this dungeon. It just rains blocks on you. And I've had it just rain straight, like a straight 5 block straight down. And you can't do anything about it. You can't break them until you get the item of the dungeon, which is the glove, which allows you to break blocks. I don't understand their item logic in this game as to why like a glove allows you to break blocks, but sure. All right, have a good night, Aiden. Oh, that is just unfortunate RNG there. But it's okay, we're going to be taking Life 2 and Magic 2, or Life 3 and Magic 2 coming up shortly. Alright, so we're going to take Magic 2 here. Hayden, Maya. Hayden. Not Aiden. Alright, so coming up here, we have a pretty scary jump. We're going to skip this enemy. We don't need him. Our experience is really high right now. There is a jump coming up here, and it's kind of got like Ninja Gaiden feels to it. So they just decided to place an enemy on the edge of a platform there, and we got pretty bad RNG there. Those enemies will just immediately knock you into the lava. Ideally, that's how we want that room to go. But the bot said no. That's okay. We have a jar coming up. This enemy right here is going to be a drop. I'm going to cast life there. Got this. Grab that jar. Oops. Yeah, bots are considered the most dangerous enemy in Zelda 2, by far. Alright, so we're gonna keep him alive. Alright, this is the Tetris room. It is pure RNG where these blocks fall. They could just fall straight down. You kind of want to, whenever you, if they fall directly on you, you kind of want to face towards them, so they knock you back in the opposite direction. We do need to take that. We're gonna jump here. We're gonna do a little piece of tech. It's called Fairy Push. Basically what that does is if we jump and cast a fairy spell, the iron knuckles kind of get locked in a running motion backwards. And you can just kind of push them back by staying like in the range of their visors. Alright, so we got the power glove. Now we can break blocks and we can complete this this palace. We want to be at 200 experience in this palace, so experience-wise we are absolutely fine. There are about 4 more enemies coming up that we can kill. We are going to skip everything in this one. Oh, we're going to kill him because he got in the way. But we're going to skip everything else here. So now we can break these blocks. Who wins in a fight, an iron knuckle or a dark nut? Neither. They both die. Alright, so that bot dropping from that dripper actually despawns a bubble right there, which allows us to save like 2 frames, which is pretty nice. Alright, so we are going to get that key, make our way to down that elevator that we passed, and we're going to make our way to a boss that everybody's familiar with, because there's a saying in my channel. Nobody dies to Helmet Head. Nobody. Never. Nobody, not a soul. Not a soul dies to Helmet Head. If you've died to Helmet Head, deny it. We're gonna actually take that. We're gonna put life on. Alright. So we're gonna kill this last orange iron knuckle. And we're gonna skip this red one. Yo, what's up, Sock? Alright, so this is Helmet Head. And nobody dies to him. I don't want to hear it. Nobody dies to Helmet Head. You'd probably die to Helmet Head. I'm so sorry. Alright. So we're going to exit this palace out. We're going to walk down here. Take the encounter there. And hopefully we get a nice walk. Nope, we don't. We don't. We get very angry encounters. Alright, so from here on, we're gonna go pick up the actual first spell of the game, the shield spell. And we're gonna actually do a very specific walk out of that town. Wow, bad RNG. Very bad RNG. We're gonna be losing a lot of time. Alright, so this is Shield Town. And we're gonna come pick up a spell that we honestly don't need. We may use it just to kind of secure HP, but not really needed. I definitely highly recommend it if you're just starting out by grabbing it before you go to Palace 1. That way you have it for Death Mountain. Because Death Mountain is very tough. That is another thing. You don't want to level up and exit the screen at the same time. You will hard lock the game. Not soft lock, you will hard lock the game. And it's basically a rip run, which is very unfortunate. Alright, so this very specific walk, we are going to burn an extra step here by walking left and down. And we're going to walk here and get that encounter. And then we're gonna walk straight down. Except we, for some reason, got an encounter. Ow. I don't know why we got an encounter there. I think we were supposed to enter King's Tomb. That's okay. We got 100 extra experience. Alright, so we are on our way to Palace 3. We're getting some really bad luck with these encounters. Alright, Palace 3. This palace is where you are going to see the first instance of how broken the jackhammer is. That's fine. Didn't want to kill you anyway. Alright, so you jump over this enemy. What that's going to do is that's actually going to despawn a good bit of the enemies there. There's usually 4 Mews there with respawning Tensus. And skipping that first one actually despawns one of the Mews, and it also like delays the another spawn of the Tensu. Experience isn't really... Oh god. Experience isn't really, like, tight here. We do have kind of like a leeway with our experience, which is very nice. Gonna grab that key. We're gonna make our way down this elevator coming up and head over to the raft. All those encounters, I am losing a ton of time. That's okay. I'm not comparing to my PB. I'm honestly actually scared of this. Okay. You never want to level up with a bot jumping like that. That's actually the most dangerous thing. Alright, so right here, we're gonna jump into his hitbox and just kind of mash the down button. And that's the jackhammer. So when you jump into their hitbox and you have like a ceiling above you, you can actually abuse their iframes to where you can just repeatedly hit their hitbox and just completely melt an enemy. Coming up here, we have what we call the Never Jar. It's usually not a jar, just like that. You have a 50-50 chance of that being a red jar or a red iron knuckle. We got scammed. But there's a reason that we call it the Never Jar. It's usually never a jar. Alright, we're gonna skip these level ups. We have enough experience now. The boss here, Rebanak, gives you 301. I don't know why it gives you 301. But he does. And that'll give us enough to skip the level up to get attack 7 exiting here. Yes, it's a 50-50. I promise you. And by 50-50 Nintendo standards, it's like 50 then 1%. Alright, we have one more enemy to kind of skip or kill. Whatever happens first. 3 tile jumps. There's a visual cue for those. I might actually die to Rebanak here. I'm a little worried. Alright, so if we get the setup right, we could kill him without taking damage. But getting the setup right might not be right. So we stand on this very specific tile here. And we kind of bounce off his head there. And we just kind of abuse him. You can actually pogo on his head and in that corner. And he'll just take damage. But as the saying goes, not even close, wasn't even concerned. Easy boss. What's up, Rex? Just gonna let that boomerang just fly right past me. Alright, we cast jump there because we want to be pretty much out of magic coming up on this next part. We need to be able to kind of abuse a magic refill in a town coming up. Alright, so we're going to take our raft, we're going to cross over the sea to the eastern continent, which is pretty dangerous. Take the encounter on the road so we don't get anything for it. Alright, this is probably one of my favorite walks in the entire run. Block that fireball. This is Maze Island Enter. And we're just gonna kind of abuse the encounters there. If you stay on the right frames after you exit the raft, you can kind of know where your encounters are gonna go and just avoid them. And that's what we do there. I'm gonna cast Fairy here. We're gonna pick up another item and skip the fanfare. If we get a fanfare there without killing that enemy, he will stab us a couple of times. And that Lizalfos does a lot of damage. Roughly about 2 bars at the top. Okay, so coming up here, we're actually going to set up another encounter walk. This is called the Dazzle. This walk was actually found by a runner named Dazzle. And basically, it sets up a perfect walk, if executed right, all the way to Reflect Town. So we wait for the spawn there, walk up here, and we got a fairy. Fairies are bad. You may think that fairy encounters are supposed to help you, but they're actually the worst encounters you can get in a speedrun. We're going to stab 4 times here to kind of push forward the RNG for encounters, because you can actually manipulate how encounters walk towards you by wasting just enough frames on each screen. So these encounters are going to kind of like home in on you, as opposed to just kind of random walk. But yeah, fairy encounters are the absolute worst encounters you can possibly get in the run, because they have random movement, and you don't know how they're going to move, and they're just a pain. Alright, so we are going to cast Fairy there, and we're going to be able to... We have to be crouching there. If not, it will not allow us to sink into the chimney. We need to be able to come in here to get the upstab ability. So we're going to grab upstab. Most you'll ever see us use it is for bumping in the walls and things like that. Maybe poking a couple of enemies here and there, but nothing major. Our goal here, we want to come get the reflect spell, which we actually need this to beat the next palace boss. Which... that boss. That boss can go one of 2 ways. Really good, or you're just sitting in a corner for 20 years wishing that the boss would actually spawn properly and not heck up. Alright, so the reflect spell. We have 2 instances of when we use that spell. We use that spell on the boss of Palace 4, and we use the spell on the boss of Great Palace, Thunderbird. Reason being, the reflect spell, for some strange reason, shrinks Link's hitbox by a very large margin. Also, we're going to talk to this sign to set up an RNG walk. So by talking to that sign, those encounters are going to walk directly into us. So we're going to stab 4 times here. And that's going to set up another encounter that just kind of homes right into us. You want to avoid taking damage from those little blender-looking enemies. They do a lot. I moved. We're trying, like, I was trying to pause buffer there. You want to kind of pause buffer in order to avoid encounters. There's another fairy. All right, we're gonna get another encounter here. Okay, we're fine. The hardest boss in the series? Absolutely. So, the boss of Palace 4 is called Karok. That's not the way we want to go. Karok is a gigantic wizrobe, and he's a jerk. Yo, welcome in, Panda Bird. Thank you, Murby. I appreciate that. Hi, GSR. GSR, race me. Alright, the only instance of upstab we would ever use is to kill that bot, but he went the other way, so we don't need it. Alright, so we walk a very specific path around this maze in order to avoid every forced encounter except for that one. Unfortunately, we have to take that one. And we're about to enter Palace 4 here. This is Karok's Palace. Alright. So Karok's Palace. This is where we're gonna death abuse twice in this palace. I typically, in a PB attempt, would death abuse 3 times. But for safety strats, we are not going to death abuse 3 times, because that puts us at a very low life count for the end game, and we don't want that. Alright, we're gonna queue up jump here. Gonna cast jump, refresh it. Kill that enemy, cast jump again. And we are going to get our first key. And our first death abuse. Lava bath. What's up, bunny? We're gonna queue up the fairy spell, and we're gonna make our way to the item of the dungeon, the boots. The boots are very special. They allow you to walk on water. Also, check out this swag. There you go. I don't want that experience. This is the Undertale room. This is a good friend of mine, TGH's favorite room. He's probably going to ban me in his chat. That is Sans and Papyrus right there. When was the first time I got this game? When I was 3. I've been playing this game for a very long time. Alright. So there's a nifty little room strat coming up here that I really like. Coming up here, if you don't lose any frames in this room, it's actually a really nice kill. So you can jump, crouch stab, and then up stab him. And it works every time. So we are not going to death abuse here, mainly because we got that jar drop. Just to kind of conserve our lives here, we are going to death abuse in the third room that we have to go through to get that key, mainly because we need to have full magic for the boss of this palace. Our Wizarobes have just kind of a random spawn. They spawn wherever they please. And we're gonna come over here, we gotta grab a key. I don't know why I didn't do that room right. Nice. 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 If you fall off script, you just kind of get punched around. It's pretty fun. Yo, welcome in, Maddie. You're learning new stuff. Nice. Good to hear. This is probably one of my favorite speedruns. I don't speedrun this game enough, if I'm honest. My current PB for this game is a 1:16:42, I want to say, or something. It's a 1:16, I know that much. Don't want to take any more damage. We're kind of low on health. Alright, we're going to take life 4 here. That's going to set up our experience for the next palace. We do need to kill this enemy here. Because if not, you get insta-bopped upon leaving this room coming up. And we don't want that. Gonna re-Q jump. It's not good, that guy should have died. Nice. Oh well. Guess you're staying alive. Today's your lucky day, Mr. Doomknocker. Alright, so coming up, we're going to take the final death abuse of this palace. We're going to get the last key here. The reason that we take this death abuse is because we need to have full magic. We have to have at least 5 bars of magic in order to cast Reflect. And we can only kill this boss coming up with the Reflect spell. It is literally the only way to kill Karok. Why that's a mechanic, couldn't tell you. But it is what it is. So we got a couple of crumble bridges here with some Muse coming up, and then we have our final stretch of this palace. I like to do that, skip that. Sometimes he jumps and you just take damage and it's unfortunate. Not much you can do about it. Gonna queue up Reflect. Gonna kill this second IK. Drop. Nope, next one is a drop. Alright. So we're gonna cast Reflect here, and watch how epic this boss fight is. So we're just gonna sit in this corner. And that's Karok. We actually got really good RNG on Karok. We're going to change our spell during that fanfare, mainly because even if you pause the game and change your spell during the fanfare, it actually does not lengthen the time of that fanfare, so we can actually abuse that to pick the next spell that we need. And right here, we're going to use Jump. We're going to need the Jump spell. Well, some runners need the Jump spell because we're going to be performing a tech coming up called Eco Key. And if performed right, it's going to remove the need of us to cast the fairy spell in order to get this this jump coming up. It does require precise positioning. So if we do miss it, we're going to be unfortunately out of magic, and we're going to need to get a jar or a level up. Nice. All right. So we are going to stab 2 times on a very specific spot here. And jump, take a damage bop, and bam, that is Eco Key. So we take that damage bop to kind of bop us into the jump. And if we get hit on the right positioning, Link kind of gets bumped upwards, which is really nice. And it works out for us. This actually should be a drop. Or it's this one. Oh, nice. Or maybe I don't know where my drops are anymore. My drops are all kind of whacked out. But we don't need to kill one of those, even though we're going to kill it anyway. Take that, Mr. Mago. We're going to need to cast Jump here to get a key. Hopefully we get some pretty good RNG on these Tetris blocks. I couldn't have asked for any better RNG, if I'm being honest. Yeah, we'll take the Magic 4 here. Alright, so we kind of want to avoid taking a lot of experience here. Normally, you only want to kill about 1 Mago in this palace to keep your experience as low as possible, because we need a very low experience value coming up if we're gonna basically avoid taking level ups in a very specific area. Or it could potentially, if you leave the screen on the wrong frame, it could hard lock you. And we want to take these level ups in the next town coming up, because the fanfare is actually shorter when you level up in a town versus leveling up on the overworld or in an encounter or in a cave. So we're going to be coming up here on the next item of the game, which is the flute, aka the plunger. How does one level up in town without enemies? Easy. When you toss a gem. Don't want any more experience. Jesus. It's very scary. We could die here. So when you toss the gem, your experience is going to be going up, up, up. Since we're already at attack 8, the next level up that we're going to get with the attack is 9,000 experience. And we're going to use that to take level ups for Magic 6 and Life 6. I'm trying not to die here. I don't want to lose this life that I have. If I take any damage from a Mago, it's a death. But we're gonna let that experience kind of count up after we beat the boss of this palace. And we're gonna use that to basically take level ups in a town. Tiamat would be proud of me, by the way, chat. Tiamat would be so proud of me. Alright, we have a red jar coming up here, as long as we don't take any damage. Alright, well, I'm glad we took damage at that point. Alright, we're just gonna cast life again. Alright, so for this next boss fight coming up, we want to be at 700 experience. We have way more than enough. We don't want to go too far overboard, because that could potentially make us not able to take our level ups in town. We're gonna have to backtrack all the way up here and then go up left. Kind of show off a little swag there. Alright, we're gonna get this jar here. And we're gonna hopefully not take any more damage. We need our life for this boss. Goomba is very strong. Does a lot of damage. Also, this part coming up, if you don't break the blocks to the beat of the music, your run is invalid. Just saying. So if you don't do that, you're banned. Just saying. Alright, so we want to queue up the shield spell. Basically, with the shield spell, Goomba still hits you for 2 bars of life. We don't need the bag. We are fine on EXP. We are going to kill this thing, just because he's pretty much in our way. Alright, we're going to queue up life here. We should not need it. We do need it, because my jumps are not coming out. Goomba hits hard. Not a fun boss. That boss does take a lot of practice. And then we're gonna queue up our fairy spell here. So you could do this. And it still counts up right when you'd go. Alright, so our experience is fine, as long as we don't have any poor movement coming up. We're gonna come up here and grab our heart container. Jump, cast fairy, and as long as we grab the heart container before 6,000 experience, we're fine. We are absolutely fine. And we're gonna take our level ups in this next town to get the fire spell. Gonna make sure we do not take attack 9. Staring at you, Marks. Alright, we're going to cancel that at 3,300, and that's going to set us up for our final gem toss coming up from Palace 6. Fireville. Alright, so this lady is on house arrest. She wants you to grab her water from the fountain, literally next door to her house, that she can't get herself. So that lady's on house arrest. So we have to bring her some water in order to speak with her father to get the next spell. We're also going to talk to the signpost exiting this town as well. And that's going to set up a very specific walk for a potential encounter skip coming up called Fence Skip. Reason it's called Fence Skip, if you've ever watched the show Home Improvement, and you know who Wilson is, We call those the Wilson fences. And you'll see why in just a moment. Oh, I think he's too low. Nope. Alright, so we got it perfectly. And we got pause bufferless too. So those are your Wilson fences. They throw rocks at you. But they also poke their head up. Kind of like Wilson from Home Improvement. Typically we just eat damage here, it doesn't matter. We're going to enter this bridge encounter coming up here. That's going to set up a proper walk RNG. We're going to stab once, walk straight up. We're going to force an encounter to spawn on that swamp tile. And we're going to avoid that encounter with a pause buffer. Oh, my drops are so off. That was a very good encounter walk. Alright, so this is New Kasuto. And this is Spelltown. Since we didn't get a drop here, we have to refill magic in order to cast the spell. You heard me right, the spell. The spell has a good use. There's a hidden, like, tower at the end of town that has the any key in it, and that any key is going to basically serve as our final key of the entire dungeon except for boss drops. There are keys from bosses that we have to collect, so we do have to kill all the bosses, but the any key will basically allow us to unlock any door in any palace, which it only has one palace left. We have Palace 6. And then we're also going to grab our final magic container exiting this town. So we're going to queue up Fairy here in order to skip the fanfare of collecting the any key. We're going to re-queue it. And we're going to do the same thing coming up on the magic jar. It helps you spell words better. Yeah, let's go with that. Alright, so final walk through this town. We don't need to refill magic because when we collect this jar, it's going to give us a free magic refill anyway. So, she will only let you in when you have 7 magic jars, so the way that the spells work on this continent, each town, so you have Fire Town, Reflect Town, Spell Town, and Thunder Town. You need to have 5, 6, 7, and 8 magic containers, respectively, in order to acquire the spell. If not, the old man won't give you the spell. So 8 magic jars are always required in order to beat the game, unless you plan on using an out-of-bounds tech called Fairy Hood. Excuse me, Fairy Hood, and skip the boss entirely. Which we cannot use in this run. Alright, so 1 knockback there indicates that we just stab 1 and then wait a little bit. Alright, so we're gonna try a... Well, okay, those were not gonna work out. We were gonna try slinking, but slinking is basically moving when an encounter is on a half tile and avoiding the encounter altogether. But unfortunately, we had a homing encounter, which will not allow us to slink. I think we're fine to not take it. Yeah. Alright, so this is Palace 6. This is the second to last palace. It also has my favorite boss kill. We utilized the jackhammer for this boss. and it's very satisfying. We're gonna queue up jump here. We're gonna need that to jump over a 4-tile gap on the floor that you cannot see. We're also going to take a damage boost there to ensure that we make it across. So this is the Wizrobe Party House. This room has, I believe it's 6 Wizrobes in it, and they're mean. We're gonna break that block, let that bubble go in there. What's up, Fricker? Welcome. Gonna cast jump here. So the third statue is our indicator here. We want to be able to block that, and we jump on the second tile there. There is actually a 4-tile gap that if you don't jump there, you fall, and you lose a lot of time. You also got to be careful not to kill enemies off screen like that. I could have actually soft locked. This game doesn't like when things die off screen. It does weird things when enemies die off screen, and it's not a good thing. Alright, we're gonna cast jump again. And then we jump, and we avoid that tile gap again. And then we're gonna queue up Fairy. Yeah, basically if you fall there, you have to go all the way back up that elevator, and then you have to go all the way back to the right. It's like a minute time loss if you fall. Alright, so Wizrobe Party Room was actually nice for once in its life. See if we can get the ceiling walk here. Nope. No ceiling walk. Unfortunate. Ceiling walk basically saves you about, I think it's like 16 frames. Just because you don't have to unlock that door. Alright, we need to wait for those to move. Those could push you off into the lava, and we don't want that. Nice. So that's where my jar is. Gonna re-queue Fairy here. Sometimes he can jump and push you into that Moa. Never a good thing. The Moa still does a lot of damage. Alright, we have another Rebanak to kill here. They decided it was a cool idea to slap, you know, the Palace 3 boss twice into this palace. But with attack 8, you can basically two-shot him. Make sure Fairy is good, because we do have an instance here where we do have to, it's a required Fairy cast in order to enter this next screen. If not, you just fall. Alright, we're gonna queue up jump. So right here, this is the boss of Palace 6. This is Barba. As long as you do not lose any frames when entering this room, Barba will always spawn right here. And that is a jackhammer on Barba. And that is the boss. The poor thing didn't even get to attack. Alright, so we queue up Fairy here, because we're going to need to cast it on a bridge coming up. We do not need to re-queue it, because the spell the spell that we get coming up here will requeue the spell for us. I would probably prefer not to use the spell, the fairy spell. Alright, so this is the final spell of the game, and it's going to set us onto the final dungeon, on the path to the final dungeon. This is the spell of Thunder. Thunder does damage to everything on the screen, and it's also the only spell in the game that will make Thunderbird vulnerable to attacks. We absolutely need that spell in order to defeat Thunderbird. If you do not hit him with Thunder, you will not reveal his weak point. Therefore, you pretty much have to die in order to actually fight T-Bird. We're gonna try beam strats here. Beam strats save a good bit of time, mainly because we don't have to pick up the jar heading into VOD, Valley of Death. That stinks. Alright, we're gonna have to pick up the jar anyway. I want beam strats for VOD. Alright, one stab there to set up an encounter. Walk left off the screen, and we're gonna go right here to this encounter. We're gonna queue up spell. Typically, we won't need it as long as we keep beams. As long as we keep beams, we can do Valley of Death without spell. That was close, actually. Ow. That sucks. That's okay. We made it through 2 of the encounters. Oh, never mind. That's unfortunate. We don't want to kill anything more. Hopefully Max is nice. Max is never nice. That scorpion is named Max. Oh. Not a good spawn there. Alright, we're gonna just use spell here. That magic is fine. Alright, so we have Great Palace coming up here. So this is the final dungeon of the game. Life is not very ideal, but we do have a good full, like almost a full magic cast here. So it will allow us to use Fairy to skip 2 of the spicy chickens. Their actual in-game name is kinda not suitable for stage. So we will just refer to them as spicy chickens. Also, Cat Jam, this is a really good song. So with very specific routing, we can make this palace very, very short. It takes about 5 minutes. Ideally, you want it to be 5 minutes. 4:55 if you're really good at the game. We do want to keep our experience at where it is now. We want to level up at a very specific point. Mainly because we want to have full magic entering Thunderbird. Alright, this is one of the dangerous rooms. We got lucky. That guy could probably kill us right now if we would have taken damage here. Alright, so we have our second fairy cast of the game, or this palace here. We're gonna cast it and just kind of fly over this spicy chicken as well. We are gonna kill one of these, or two of these. That's gonna set up our experience and our drop. Oh, that's unfortunate. Wow. This isn't a PB pace. So we got 50-50 there, which is pretty unfortunate. We need to get a jar there, but we don't need it anymore since, you know, he decided to come out and just punch me in the face. We call those quantum leaps. This is Scott Beakula. What's up, Shaded? Yeah, we call that one particular enemy is called Scott Beakula. I like to cast jump here if I have the extra magic. Mainly because you can just do that. And then we're gonna queue up shield because this is Scott Beakula's revenge. Nice. That is Beakula's revenge. Dean Cockwell. There's many names for all these. We're gonna queue up our final fairy cast of the game here. Then we're gonna queue up jump, because we don't need any more spells until we get to Thunderbird. Alright, so we are gonna break a very specific block, fall down, and we're gonna encounter the very first giant bot of the game, and we just gonna go squish! Alright, we need to kill both of these Mews here. We take Magic 8 right here, right before the boss fight. And we are set up for the end of this game. Alright, we're gonna cast Jump, Shield, Reflect, and we're gonna queue Thunder. And we're gonna encounter the Thunderbird here. Get 2 hits right out the gate. Oh, come on, T-Bird. T-Bird being a jerk there. And that is Thunderbird, and we're gonna come and fight the final boss. Time is coming up when Link stops moving after we defeat the final boss. But we're gonna cheese this boss, because this boss, the AI of this boss is silly. If you sit in a corner, he's just gonna die instantly. Like so. Stab. Stab. Jump. Falling stab. 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 Jump. Falling stab. Oh. Stab. Jump. Falling. Oh, okay. He's being a jerk. Well, he's dead. And time. And that is Zelda 2. 100% alt keys. It is not a PB, don't get excited. My PB is a 116, so please don't get excited. But yeah, that is Zelda 2. We have awoken Zelda, and Link is going to get a nice little smooch behind the curtain. No, this is an old PB. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. This is one of my favorite games to speedrun. And hopefully this gets in. It'd be nice to show this game off. This is a very fun run. But I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching the submission video. Much appreciated. And thank you for the consideration.